Welcome to our deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty fascinating. Covenants in the Bible.
Yeah, covenants.
So we got some material on how they're different from contracts, and wow, who knew it could be so interesting?
Right. Most people don't even realize how much these covenants shape the whole biblical story
Yeah.
and like how they impact how we understand, faith and stuff.
Totally. We're going to be diving into a talk by David Pawson,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
where he breaks down 5 key biblical covenants.
Guy.
Yeah, 5. But it gets a little dense in places, so we're here to help break it down and kind of highlight the good stuff and help make sense of the bigger picture.
Sort of like a treasure map.
Exactly, a treasure map, yeah. Okay, so Pawson starts off by, comparing these covenants to, everyday agreements, right? Building contracts, even mentions wills. But he makes this really strong point, right? Covenants, they're not just contracts.
They're different.
Oh, yeah. Big time. He says contracts are between equals. You negotiate back and forth.
Right.
But covenants, they're more like a decree from a king.
Oh, I see.
It's like, here's the deal, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
No negotiating.
Wow, that really changes things, how you see it.
And this is crazy. He brings up marriage.
Marriage.
Yeah. And he argues, it's a covenant, not a contract. He even tells this story about this man who stays devoted to his wife, even though she wasn't faithful, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
It's like a powerful illustration of how, unconditional some covenants are.
Right.
And that's a huge theme throughout the whole Bible.
Wow,
right?
totally.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. You ready for this?
Yeah, hit me.
So Pawson says straight up, you can't force God into a contract. God doesn't need to negotiate.
Makes sense.
He uses, I think it's Psalm 50, where God says, if I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you, to prove his point.
Right.
God's not liking anything. He doesn't need anything from us.
He chooses to make these agreements, though.
Exactly. Out of love. It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
Okay, so big picture, right? These covenants are basically how God builds this family. He outlines 5 specific ones. And we start with the one with Noah after the flood.
Oh, the flood.
Yeah. The one where God promises, never again to destroy the world with water, and the rainbow. That's God's reminder.
Oh, yeah, the rainbow. It's beautiful, but I never thought about it like that.
Right. It's such a powerful symbol. But it's not just about survival of this Noahic covenant. It's also about, respecting all life, humans and animals.
Both.
Pawson even connects it to capital punishment for murder.
Whoa.
He says taking a human life is basically destroying the image of God. Heavy stuff, right?
Yeah, that's pretty profound.
So, the Noahic covenant, it's not just avoiding another flood. It's about valuing the essence of life itself.
Respecting life, I get it.
Okay, but then things get, way more specific with the next covenant, the Abrahamic covenant, right?
Abraham, the one with all the descendants.
That's him. God chooses Abraham and his descendants and promises them land, countless offspring, and you know that famous line, through you, all families on earth will be blessed.
Yeah. Isn't Abraham, considered the father of the Jewish people?
He is. So this covenant, it's huge because it sets up the whole idea of a chosen nation. It paves the way for Israel.
So it's not just about Abraham, it's about a whole nation and their role. Right.
Totally.
Right.
And get this, okay? The penalties in this covenant are practically non-existent. It's almost completely unconditional.
Unconditional. So, no matter what.
Well, almost. There is one exception, circumcision.
Oh, right, of course.
Pawson even makes a little joke about it, which I have to admit was pretty funny.
He seems like a pretty straight-talking kind of guy,
He is. But, even with the jokes, he makes a serious point. This covenant has real-world implications. Well, he says how you treat the Jewish people, blessing them or cursing them, it actually matters.
Wow.
And then he goes on this whole thing about how much they've contributed to the world, their impact on science, philosophy. It's amazing.
Jewish people.
Yeah, it's a whole list. It's pretty incredible when you think about it.
It is.
So we got global survival with Noah, a chosen nation with Abraham. What's next?
I don't know. This is fascinating. What else is there?
Okay, so we're kind of left hanging, right, with these last 2 covenants, the Davidic and the Messianic.
Yeah, he really left us on a cliffhanger.
Totally. But even from what little he did say, it's obvious. These are major pieces of the puzzle,
Yeah.
for understanding, the whole story of the Bible, I mean.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Davidic covenant, that's all about, King David and his descendants, his line. It's God's promise to basically make sure David's throne lasts forever.
Forever. Wow. So it's not just about David, right? It's like a whole dynasty.
Right. And, keep in mind, this is like way before Jesus, centuries, but it sets the stage. It's like laying the groundwork.
For the Messiah.
Exactly. Which brings us to the Messianic covenant, right?
Okay, so this is where it all comes together.
Yeah, this is like the climax, It's God's promise of a savior, a descendant of David, someone who will like redeem all of humanity.
Whoa. Okay, so it's like all those covenants, Noah, Abraham, Moses, they're all leading up to this.
Yeah, think of it like this. Noah, that's survival, right? Humanity gets a second chance.
Right.
Then Abraham, that's God choosing a specific group of people for his plan, a chosen nation. Then there's Moses, and that's all about, giving that nation a way to live, a structure, laws, all that.
Okay, I'm following. So then David comes along, and it's about preparing for a king, a Messiah, who will come from David's family line.
It's like this incredible story unfolding, God's just like weaving everything together.
It's beautiful when you put it like that. But it makes me think, the Davidic covenant, it says an everlasting kingdom, right?
Yeah.
But David's kingdom, the one we know about, that one fell apart, didn't it? So like, how does that work?
That's a good question. It kind of highlights this difference between, earthly kingdoms and God's kingdom. The Davidic covenant, it's pointing to something bigger.
Bigger? Like what?
Like a kingdom that isn't limited to, borders and armies and all that. This kingdom, it goes beyond earthly stuff.
Oh. So not a physical kingdom, more like a spiritual one.
Yeah, exactly. And this kingdom, it's going to be fully realized through Jesus. It's about God's promises coming true, but in a way that, no earthly king could ever manage.
So it's about something bigger then. Like more than just a piece of land or a king on a throne.
Right. It's about righteousness, about justice, about peace. This kingdom will include everything eventually.
I'm starting to see it. It's huge. Like these covenants, it's not just ancient history. It matters now, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Big time. It makes you think about, your own relationship with God,
Yeah. Like, are we part of his family? Are we living like we're part of his kingdom? Whoa. It's a lot to process.
That is. But it's kind of the beauty of it, right? These covenants, they make you think about the big stuff, about faith, about why we're here.
I totally agree. It's more about the questions, maybe, than having all the answers. Makes you wonder, like, how do we fit in, you and me, I mean? Like, what do these covenants say about God, about our purpose, our own journeys, all that?
Those are good questions. And, maybe we don't have time to get into all that today.
Fair enough. But it's a good place to start, right? To like think about it more. It really is amazing, right? How God's working out his plan over like centuries. All these covenants coming together.
Yeah. It all points to, his love and what he wants for us. What's really cool, I think, is how it builds,
It builds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like each covenant adds something. So first with Noah, it's like, okay, humanity gets to survive, a fresh start after the flood and all that.
Right.
A second chance.
Then Abraham comes along and God's like, all right, I'm choosing this specific group, this family to be part of my plan.
A chosen nation. Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's Moses, and that's where the rules come in, right?
Yeah.
Like how to live a life that pleases God, how to make this whole chosen nation thing work, all that.
Okay, yeah.
And then finally we get to David and this promise of a king, a Messiah, who comes from his family line. And that leads right into the Messianic covenant, which is about, rescuing everyone.
It really is like a rescue mission when you think about it.
It is this huge plan to bring everything back together. It's pretty awesome.
It makes you appreciate the Bible, It's not just like random stories. There's a purpose, a flow to it all.
Totally. And it makes you think, right, about how it applies to us now. Like, it's not just history. It's about today, too.
So true. Pawson, he really emphasized that part about our relationship with God today.
Like, are we keeping our end of the deal, so to speak? Yeah. Are we acting like we're part of his family, his kingdom? I mean, that's a big question, right?
It is.
He also talked a lot about how we treat Jewish people, how important that is.
Oh, right. Because of the Abrahamic covenant, right? We're supposed to be a blessing to them.
Exactly. Pawson makes this point that, we owe them a lot. Not just because Jesus was Jewish, but because of, like, all they've done for the world.
Their contributions.
Yeah, like in science, in art, all kinds of stuff.
I hadn't thought about it like that before. It's true, though, if you, look at history.
It's amazing. But then, he also talks about the flip side, how, like, throughout history, people haven't treated them well, persecution, all that. And it makes you think, okay, am I living up to that promise to be a blessing? It's a tough question.
Yeah, it really makes you think about your own actions.
It does. But, through all of this, looking at these 5 covenants, what really sticks with me is God's faithfulness.
His faithfulness.
Yeah. Like through everything, he keeps his promises, even when, people mess up.
It's true. He always comes through. It's a good reminder, that his love is always there and his plan, it keeps moving forward.
That's a great way to put it. This whole deep dive, it's been amazing. Like a whole new way of looking at the Bible.
It really is. Makes you think about your own faith too, right?
For sure. It's definitely made me want to, keep exploring, keep learning.
Me too.
Well, thanks for being here, for taking this deep dive with us into the 5 covenants of the Bible. We hope it's given you, some things to think about and a new appreciation for how God works. Until next time, keep digging deeper into, the stuff that matters. And we'll see you on the next deep dive.